Greetings and welcome back to Switch to Linux with another supporters stream. And if I can find my link there we are. We are jumping on. We got Dan on, we got Tech on, we got Sabu on, and we have our fellow FBI agent. Oh, I'm sorry, it's just Mark, but you know. But regardless, and once again, the banner system is messed up with Mark's name. But anyway, so how's everybody doing this week? Good having a week. We got talk. Is everyone having a good week so far?
We're mowing through it.
It is not as bad as last week, so it's certainly an improvement.
That's good. Yeah, it's I'm moving along. It's getting cold and wet here again. It's like, really? I thought we were over this cold and wet, but apparently not.
No, this is March. March is a real strange month. I mean, you can have a really nice 60-degree day one day, and the next day the wind will blow all the shingles off your house.
Yeah. We actually had the you can notice where I'm at. There's 4 different clusters of houses / apartments / townhouses here, and they were all built in different times, and you can actually see how the build quality has declined. So like the first 2 blocks that were here were both built in the 70s, and all of them are like concrete, very thick, can't hear nothing. My neighbor's over there drilling stuff. He's building I think he's building a house inside of his house, I'm pretty sure. And I hear slight artifacts of it here and there. He's got a loud dog that I can't hear, and that's how good it is. Across the street where I used to live is like paper thin walls. Those ones went up by a group of people, possibly illegals, built the thing in a very, very short period of time. One of my old neighbors there said she'd been there since they started, and they said they put up the entire place, which is somewhere like 50 or 60 apartments, in like 2 weeks. And they are crap. And then they put in another subdivision just a couple years ago, and the wind came by and blew off half the siding off one of them. There's no Tyvek down there. They have not moisture protected these houses. I'm like, these houses are going to rot into nothing. Do these people not know how to build houses?
Apparently not.
Yeah, So that's kind of where we're at. But anyway,
ridiculous.
Enough of our craziness. Let's go ahead and chat about our Linux frustrations, because as we are switching to Linux, we don't want to ever paint the picture that everything is 100% perfect at all times. I mean, come on, man. Linux is the perfect operating system. You're just stupid if you're not using it.
No, you're stupid if you're not using Arch.
This is true. That's right. I use Arch, by the way. But the thing is that we need to remember is that there are going to be challenges with everything we do, whether you're on Windows or Mac. I mean, hey, think of the problems we have on Windows right now. I mean, you're going along, and all of a sudden your computer goes into a blue screen of death because it uploaded updated itself, and then you tried to print a document and it crashed the computer. That was last week's Windows bug. The software updates crashed it on printers. So you get that. You get your Mac issues. There's a few of those. I mean, you can just bypass your root password? Really? Oh, okay, that's neat. I'm sure Linux has probably done that at some point in time. But what we're going to do today is we're going to chat about our own personal Linux frustrations, some of the things that we have either currently working with or have worked with. Some of them we have resolved, some of them we may not have resolved. And we'll kind of jump onto there. Salbu, let's go ahead and start with you, because I'm on your screen already, and then I'm going to go ahead and alert everybody on Discord that we are actually here. So let us know your Linux frustrations, and have you resolved it, and if so, how did you?
My first thing that I can remember was, I just thought this now, the first ever Linux that I tried, it was back in 1998. It was...
and nothing worked back then.
I tried SUSE 5.2. And it worked. I had it for 2 days, but sometimes it would freeze, and then nothing worked. And after 2 days, I was fed up, and I reinstalled Windows. I have learned later that it probably was a hardware issue. But the first real problem came in 2001, or I think, or two, when I had installed Red Hat 7.1. Back then, I was told, and I read and learned in the various chat rooms that if you wanted to install something, you had to install it by compiling it, because then you had it configured for your specific hardware. No one told me that there was something called a package manager.
We're using Gentoo.
Didn't even have the internet back then.
And I remember there was this. There was something that I'm not sure. Something I wanted to install that it needed an upgraded Qt package. So I downloaded Qt from the official website and compiled. I remember it compiled for 12 hours. And I managed to install it, and the other package managed to install fine. And I told the chat room that I did this, and then one asked why I didn't use the RPM package. What? They have RPM packages?
What's that?
What is an RPM?
That is very much like, I'm sorry, I was a geek. I was a science geek, and I'm in calculus too. I had a friend of mine way back when ICQ was a thing. I had a friend, and I had met him from, around the community, and he was a math professor up at the college. So I'm over here, I'm in Calc 2, and we had this, what's the derivative of the cosecant, and I'm like, I need help. And so he jumps on, he walks me through. 2 hours later, I get to the final answer. I tell him, he says, perfect. He says, now flip open the back of your book. All right. See, that's one of the ones you were supposed to memorize. Why didn't you tell me this? He says, because you were doing such a good job trying to derive it. I'm like, all right. So, reminds me though, I went to a math meeting the other day. Everyone was drinking, but I was okay. I was the designated deriver. Anything else there, Selby, you want to say?
Yeah, and these days there are two issues that I have with, and it's about other upstream way of telling people how to install something. Most software guides, when they talk about how you install this or how you get that, almost everyone is a Debian type of how you do this. And if there are some packages that you need to install in order to get this thing, the names of the dependencies are Debian only package names, even if we have them in RPM based distros, but they are called they are named differently and packaged differently. So I would advise for those who are listening and who do something like this, to in addition to listing the names of the Debian or Ubuntu style of dependency names, list the name of the actual program, and not just the name of the package that you install. And my last is I am a packager in Mageia, and my a lot of distros when they are packaging something, the package cannot depend on having internet connection in the compiled stage or the installer stage. If it requires internet when compiling, then we don't touch it. I remember in 2017. I was the packager for an Axis and Allies clone called AAA. And in 2017, they changed how they put this together. And the compiler stage downloaded, and I counted, it downloaded 128 separate packages in order to compile. I managed to track down some 40 names of what to install, but I was not prepared to package 128 other packages in order to support this game. So we decided to drop it, and I know people were sad that we dropped it.
I have 219 packages to upgrade on Arch right now. I should really probably push that update today. Before the whole thing comes crashing
Do it live.
down.
You should
Do it
definitely
live.
do it.
Yeah, let's do it
while we're on the
live.
stream. See what frustrations.
Well,
we
no,
can make.
I'm not streaming on Arch. I have Arch as my monitoring computer.
No,
over
I know,
here,
but
so
I mean,
I'm not streaming.
But while we're doing this, though,
Yeah,
even though it's on the other computer, see what
sure.
breaks.
Sure. Let's
So
go
my
and do
the
that.
biggest current Urquid in frustration is packages that depend on having an internet connection in order to compile, and that's just wrong. So
All right, let's see what we got here. We're gonna run it. Oh God. Oh dear. It wants to replace stuff. I used that package.
Wait
What is
until it
it?
wants to update Python 5.
What is it? Tack
it's-
Y and A for yes to all.
Yep, we're just doing it. Yes to all. Hopefully things work because I'm updating packages that I actually use on a daily basis. We're replacing stuff. I forgot to check in on comments. Room 2,
There
how's
you
it
go,
going
Marquez
there?
is spanning live chat with, by the way, Arch.
Yeah.
Holy crap,
Are we?
what's going on?
All right. We'll get down there to the second there.
Okay, I think
Let's
somebody
see.
got him. Never mind.
Stuck with a wind tiny wall replacement. Let's see. Void tool search replacement. Let's see. Conviction. I'm not feeling the most out of my hardware, especially with my video card, due to the drivers can't deliver performance. Yeah, there's a frustration, I guess. Some of the drivers don't work as well. And other OSs. There you go. Sam is on. Greetings, Sam. How's it going there? America's Finest. How's it going there? And let's see. Dependency issues. You try to upgrade your Sane Utils Xsane packages. We won't get the newest version of Sane, which require not to go insane in order to have a working scanner. Yeah, printers and scanners. I think somebody's gonna get into chatting that a little bit. Don't get the same printer that I have. It works fairly consistently, but it's a pain. It's certainly not plug and play. It is more plug and pray. But I have the HL 3300 DL or DW. I don't know, something like that. Which there's a deb, there's an RPM. You got to install those. But there's that. Linux Mint, not too bad. Ubuntu is PIA though. There you go. Brother scanner compatibility. Yes, that is the biggest problem. But the printer's generally fine on Brother. The scanners are a little bit shaky. It works for the most part. We're in the places that need it to work, and so that's good. Let's see. It's so much better to be able to search through the RTFM before reading TFM because of the program is poo. I haven't wasted much time on it. There you go. We're updating LibreOffice now. LibreOffice is getting fresh. How's it going there, Moonbase Alpha Grays? How's it going there? See, my software works fine for me. Just the printer and scanner software pain compared to Windows 7. Actually, my printer and scanner won't work well on Windows. Like the printer does, the scanner doesn't work well on Windows. I don't even know how to get it to work over there. I don't even care.
That's so strange.
Yeah. Oh well. But hey, I can get it working on several different versions of Linux. A warning has just been released as billions have now discovered that sorbs are contagious. Linux frustrations, poor backwards compatibility. Backwards compatibility is an issue. If I upgrade a book file, for example, on GIMP 2.10, you cannot go back to 2.8, which is kind of annoying, but oh well.
I would not do fresh on LibreOffice. That's got a lot of breakage.
Well, I don't know, because this is my computer that I use to test how new software is going, so I don't really care. Yeah. I don't use it much over here. My writing computer, oh no, that doesn't get updated on a regular basis. Not until I'm done with one book and I upgrade and then move on to the next book. So
I upgrade one book at a time.
That's right. That's because I do not need it to change in the middle of stuff.
I like my steel.
So solve the Blu-ray problem with Linux. How's Blu-ray with Linux? Anybody?
No, I don't do physical media.
I have simply everything beyond DVD. I don't care.
I recommend if you're going to try any Blu-rays on Linux, I actually got VLC to work with DVDs just fine, especially the DRM ones. But you want to install Make MKV. It comes with a particular package that deals with Blu-rays, and I believe it crosses over to VLC, so you can watch them.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can make MKVs are really useful software. First time I heard about that, I believe it was Steve's very own. Maybe I need to get back over to his channel. It's been a while.
Yeah. Let's upgrade. Yeah, last time I upgraded this Arch system, that's when WaterFox died. And I was
Quantum
looking for a
Alpha
reason.
says Blu-ray works perfectly.
Okay, good.
What's your distro, Quantum Alpha?
Is he using Fedora? I think.
Yeah, he is
I can't
because
keep up with what he
I think his
Girlfriend's,
significant other forced him to use Fedora.
yeah, his
so I think he's
fiance.
using Fedora. So
yeah.
there you go. The lady friend says use Fedora. Yes, ma'am. There you go. Who
He's
uses Blu-rays
gonna do
nowadays?
well in
Discs are
life.
dead. Just use portable USBs and SD cards. I use DVDs
dear.
because I purchase DVDs and have a collection of DVDs going, because there is going to come a point in time when they be like, hey, Pinocchio, that's woke. Can't have that anymore. And then it'll disappear. Well, you're not going to disappear it from my physical DVD collection. And then I can allegedly, possibly, theoretically, if it does not run afoul of anything, convert that into a digital file. So,
Yeah, that's I have the same philosophy that if I'm buying some music or videos of some kind, I insist on buying a physical copy, because then I own the physical copy. Whereas if you just have a streaming service, or if you buy on iTunes, or then you don't buy the movie, you buy the right to view the movie.
Vinyl records here.
I did find I found one movie I could not allegedly possibly rip, and that was Ender's Game. They did a really good job encrypting that disc, so that's what capture cards are for.
Correct.
Didn't stop me too much. All right, Dan, what is up with your Linux frustrations?
Well, I have this Epson Workforce 520 printer here. It does not like Ubuntu or any Ubuntu-based anything. Epson at their website was kind enough to absolutely supply an antique deb package for the scanner and the printer. You can install it in Ubuntu, but you have to do it a particular way, and you have to reboot the computer after you launch the deb package and put it in. If you don't, you borked it. It's really weird. The scanner software you got is kind of really Windows XP-ish once you install it and open it up, but it has far more features than any of the Linux packages do. With Debian, it's plug and play. You plug it in, it knows what it is, it knows how to deal with it, no problem there. When I first started Linux in 2018, I used Mint for a long time, and then I got kind of dangerous and started hopping around some other distros. And I got into Manjaro, and I was using Manjaro for about a month. Then all of a sudden it took a bunch of updates. And then next time I started the computer on, I get Light DM not found.
Yeah, it's common.
And I'm trying to figure out how to do this. I'm reading on my laptop how to fix the thing. They say to reinstall Light DM. I reinstalled, still nothing. So I reinstalled the distro for a second time, and it went on for about 2 or 3 months. It did the same thing. So I gave up Arch that day completely as a main driver.
It's looking in a directory and cannot find Lightning. They've changed, most likely the developers have changed the code, and when it ran updates, it can no longer find LightDM in the directory that it's
for a noob that's newer than noob, then
it's too much for most people, and it's got to be more user friendly than that for the majority of people.
One of the biggest frustrations I had is they came out at Christmas time with this game called Cyberpunk 2077. Trying to get that game together and working is like major surgery on your system.
But to my understanding, that game didn't work anywhere.
They say it works
As
on
somebody who
Yeah,
likes
on
on
a
Windows,
high-end
it's-
PC.
It'll work on Linux if
Yeah.
you have the correct AMD card and the newest Mesa drivers and the newest
Okay.
kernel.
It was
Yeah,
a bit of a diva.
But what I was saying is, there were so many complaints and lawsuits about that game. I don't think it worked anywhere, did it?
No,
It's,
yeah, when
they
first
got it
came
working
out,
to
had
the
major
point now
issues.
where you get to a certain chapter of the game and the screen just goes black and all you get is a yellow HUD. So you got to walk around in the dark to to get out of the dark.
It was
go- I
much
bug a couple
more
times.
broken.
Tech, what was
on
your thoughts on
consoles, 'cause it
what
could
was your
not
tech-
handle it.
Tech? What was your thoughts on the game? You said it was not working well.
Yeah, I haven't played it since I started moving. So the last time I played it was in early January. But yeah, even on Windows, I tried it with an RX 580 and a NVIDIA GTX 980 Ti, and it was like
I can play it all the way up to the
blows up
heist,
sometimes.
the heist chapter. I can get that far with it working just fine. But to make it work on Linux, you have to get the latest NVIDIA drivers, which with Debian, that's kind of really impossible because you have to go outside their package manager system to do that.
Yeah.
This
Which
is
means you
gonna sound-
have to actually turn off your Xorg, your Novus, your Light DM until you're down to where you're at a black screen and nothing's loaded and everything's
Correct.
disabled, and you can
Correct.
physically remove the old NVIDIA drivers and then use the ones NVIDIA supplies with the .run file. Then it will install that set of drivers. And
And
it
it
is
doesn't
a
always
real
go smoothly
pain.
even then.
No, this is going to sound oxymoronic, but I mean, this is why I have like a dedicated Windows box for games because
Yeah.
even if they don't come out working like they should, it's way less difficulty to get them working when they do function.
Another itch I got
I
is
totally
changing
understand.
kernels with Debian because I got my back ports open. I'm using LMDE, but I'm calling it Debian because it's mostly that underneath. But you can get a 5.9 kernel for a thing that's using a 419 kernel. And it is kind of easy to install, but you have to remember to get the header package that goes with it and install it. The
The
thing
beauty of Debian is that it doesn't update frequently because if you're doing
Oh,
mission
it'll update it. You have to actually, when it wants to update the kernel, because you updated it, it now is on another freight train for more 5.9 updates. You have to enter
Yeah.
a command line thing that disables the updates for that. But when you update the kernel like that, do it manually through the terminal, you break your virtual box.
yeah,
And guess what? The mod probe thing that it complains about it wants you to do to build a module kernel for your new kernel does not work. So you have to go to VirtualBox and get the next newest version. Luckily, your VirtualBox isn't set up to update. So, you're on an old version that works fine. You loved it and everything. But then now you go get the next newest one.
I really
And
got
its system will actually purge all that stuff and build your kernel module for you. And you're back in the VirtualBox realm again.
I really got worried for a
Arch-
second. I thought we were delving into complaints about Windows. Like,
Arch rebooted.
that would be weird.
oh, good.
Not
You got screen?
Arch rebooted.
Well,
good deal.
I just loaded up the new Kodi. It is migrating my add-ons, so that's kind of scary. The new Kodi, I thought it had a system crash because the new Kodi looked like the screen was hacked. It's actually a really cool logo.
I would say with most of my Linux grief and gripes, is
There's
because
already an
I
update
wanted
again.
I really wanted to tinker with it
What?
beyond my capability.
It's
Updates every
updating
minute
you
with Arch.
suck.
It's updating again.
Just as bad as Windows. I just updated Windows, but you have more updates.
Oh, there's more updates. It's already giving me an update. Hey, there's updates for Arch. Like, screw you. I just updated.
There's
you.
updates for your updates. And then
WebKit
there's
wants
updates
Well,
to
it
update
didn't
now.
get them because your update buffer was maxed out.
Didn't get them all, yeah.
All right.
Maybe that's very possible.
Tech, let's get back on track. Tech, give us your complaints.
I am. I decided to quit fighting, trying to manage a local Nextcloud server, and I put everything up into Linode. So I turned the laptop that was my Nextcloud server into just a kick around laptop, and I decided to put Gecko Linux on it. And that's been quite challenging for something that's supposed to be so heavily based on OpenSUSE. It is really difficult sometimes, and I think my biggest complaint right now is that if it weren't for Flatpaks, I don't think I could use this thing because it is horribly inconsistent with successfully installing or uninstalling anything. So, but Flatpaks for the win. They've really saved me on this thing. Maybe it's just because it's a rolling release. I might switch over to static and give it a shot.
Yeah, maybe Luke, if you're on OpenSUSE, try Leap.
Yeah. Well, this is Gecko, so it's based on OpenSUSE.
Well, yeah.
Their version of static is what's OpenSUSE's Leap. So
yeah.
But even when it boots up, though, it says OpenSUSE Tumbleweed as it boots up. So it's pretty much OpenSUSE with just the Pantheon desktop.
So
I've noticed that before with certain distros. Like if I put Mint, my bootloader will show Ubuntu, and I'm like, no, I didn't load Ubuntu. I don't like Ubuntu. I loaded Mint.
It did actually knock out my BitChute plugin, which actually I do use every day. So I'm gonna go see if I can get my BitChute plugin back. If not, I'll find another solution. It does appear as though it preserved most other things in here, though.
Is it code in 19?
Was that?
If the code is it version 19 in the new?
Yeah, this is Kodi 19. So
yeah, because Kodi 19 is does not support Python 2 anymore. So if the plugin that is disabled is Python 2, it will no longer work until they have updated the code.
Oh, that sucks. I don't know. Well, who knows? Maybe they have updated it. Maybe they've been working on it. It did look like it completely added a bunch of... I guess it reinstated all of the menus I disabled. Although it did knock out a lot of the stupid things that would go online. Hey, here's the latest stuff that's in the theaters. I don't care. In fact, I always wanted to disable that crap. But
did it ask you to reboot?
What, the computer?
Yes.
No,
when it was done with the updates.
No, I rebooted it. I didn't.
If it did, it got the newer Python.
It did get the newer Python.
I just want to address Anthony McDonald's question in chat.
Sure.
He said, is Flatpak okay? I've avoided them because he saw the nightmare with snaps, so he usually sticks with the deb files and rarely PPA. I think Flatpaks are definitely the way to go all day.
I like them too.
Yeah,
the only thing I found that they're not good for is like web browsers. Anytime I put a web browser in Flatpak and I want to suspend my computer, let's say you got a laptop, you got to close the lid real quick and take it with you. Yeah, it'll blow the web browser's cookies.
If you want the latest packages, I would do Flatpak all day, every day. If you're more comfortable with getting it from the repository through the terminal, it's always great to do that, especially if you're running something like Debian, because you're not ever going to have newer packages with Debian. That's kind of the point. It's great.
You will if you open the back ports and you go and get stuff out of Bullseye.
Yeah, true.
But it's really cumbersome.
What I do when I need an updated package for something, I fetch the original RPM package, and I build a new version, an updated version. So that's the benefit of being a packager. I know how to do this.
With Debian and Ubuntu, I'm not sure about Ubuntu, but with Debian, if you open your terminal and you type in apt search and the package name, it'll go to the repository and give you a list of all the packages that have that name.
Yeah.
If they're available. Yeah, you can find stuff in there that normally doesn't come up in the package manager.
Yeah, and because if you don't have the dash n switch in the command, it would also give you every package who has that search term in the description of the package, and not just the package name.
I saw a meme
They've
the
said
other
here
day.
that there is a note here that the add-on is ported to Kodi 19. But it's still not upload. It's still not installing.
Maybe they haven't synced it to the official repo yet. It takes.
Well, there's never been an official repo. It's always a side-loaded plugin. I don't know. Maybe it is in the official repo now. I actually haven't checked, but they do actually have Python 3 last month ported over here. I don't know. I'll play around with it tonight. I'll look at it tonight. See if I can get it working.
I'm gonna upset the arch fanboys. I'm putting Manjaro on my ThinkPad. So
I approve. I have Manjaro on my Python Pro. I think it's
I
very
probably
useful.
would use Manjaro or try it again, but the problem I had with Manjaro that I had with every XFCE desktop is I get terrible screen tearing with XFCE.
no.
Mark, you're up. What are your Linux frustrations?
My Linux frustrations. The most recent thing I can remember, it had to do with the printer. It was a Canon Pixma, cheap Walmart printer that one of my clients bought, which is fine for her needs. I wouldn't expect her to spend too much on it, and that's fine and all. But I had to go specifically, even though it had scan drivers and it had printer drivers directly on the website, much in the vein of Dan's issue. Much like it, I had to go specifically and add a PPA repository for it to pick up the scanning portion. And it was just a lot of extra, working the terminal and stuff that, with Windows, you just grab the file, executable, download it, install it, and you're done. A trained monkey could do a lot of the work I do as an MSP. You wouldn't believe how many times I have had to uninstall and reinstall HP printers on Windows, but HP printers seem to be all that works on Linux out of the box. It's so funny. It's such a weird dichotomy. I'll just go nuclear. If the HP printers start giving problems, you're better just to go ahead.
Just can't take it anymore. We'll switch to FreeBSD.
We're really beating the printers today.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that really some people can have some concerns with. They'll work. You just gotta work them.
You just gotta work with them. Yeah, it just takes time. That's so true. Lenny, I say that in jest. For the new user, they're not going to have the patience to go deeper. But if you're willing to, you can get most any printer working with Linux these days. So, as much as it is a W for Linux, that Linux has great hardware support. It's uncanny what it supports these days, because honestly, I feel like Linux hardware support may be better than Windows.
You know how Linux supports a gamepad controller like you'd find on an Xbox?
Yeah, that doesn't.
That was the biggest surprise I had out of Linux, is one of those actually worked with Steam.
Yeah, they have really come a long way in gaming.
I think maybe that's not true for some wireless and Bluetooth devices, and we already discussed.
No, mine I'm using wired. I can't talk about Bluetooth.
Well, I'm not even just beyond just controllers. I mean, there's a wireless card that I have in my Windows computer that is by ASUS that just does not have drivers. They don't exist on Linux anywhere.
Yeah,
so
I've had that issue with Saber.
Yeah, I had to just suck it up and deal, and I had to buy some cheap card off of Amazon that has Intel in it. So I'm not an Intel fan. I'm very much an AMD fanboy.
He's an AMD fan, and I am an Intel knight.
Yep.
I have rocked Intel all my life. Absolutely love Intel. And
they nothing but Intel at work, for whatever that's worth.
Well, they used to be rock solid for years and years. Rocket Lake come out recently, and that's supposed to change the game.
You mean Boiler Lake? Hot day
yet? I was a hot. I haven't read up on it yet, so I've got to find out all the.
I've heard a couple of jokes about it being called Boiler Lake. So
I got an AMD processor and a computer in the closet that will absolutely fry eggs. It'll heat a whole room.
Wow.
It's a single
old school AMDs are no joke.
It's a single core 3000.
You just keep that around for when you have a problem with your heater, right?
Yeah.
A friend of mine used to have a house, and when he needed to heat up in the winter, he would fire up 7 old computers, and they were configured to run a fork bomb.
Yeah, heat a whole house with a couple of them, I tell you.
Yeah, this one I got in the closet, man. When you hit the power switch, all the lights in the house dim for a second.
I had one of
It's
those.
a better gauge wire, man.
Yeah, I had one of those.
Wow.
It's like, yeah, and we had a new house too. I mean, it was crazy. It was like, you're like gonna die.
It's the APU I'm putting in my new build tonight after the stream.
My stereo does that pretty good too. And you hit the power switch because it's got to charge up like a humongous bank of capacitors.
It's really interesting that Intel's come out with this so late in the game now. It's funny because you allowed Apple an open opportunity to enter with the M1 chips, and then you've got that's their ARM-based chip. It's really getting much more interesting now, and now I kind of halfway want to look into it and see what's all the fuss about the new.
It's all about the boardroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, but
it really is nowadays.
I'm excited about just all the different like processor technologies, like switching
the
away
security
from like
features.
x86 to ARM is
Yeah.
it's exciting time, you know. Like,
it is. It really is.
When I was a kid, you know, like in the 90s, like I didn't know nothing about computers back then.
Yeah.
And you know, you had all these different kind of processor architectures and all these different systems, and it's exciting to look back on it.
Yeah.
And now we're about to go through another phase of that, and I'm just like, oh boy, like I can't wait to see how it all plays out.
We reached that point where we thought we had pushed microprocessor technology as far as it could go, and Intel was just, you know, their hands up in the air for so long, for years.
They're waiting to see which way the
now
market flies, because a lot of these
totally
companies
different.
are tearing out their Intel processor servers and going with ARM because it uses much less power.
Yeah, but
and
it's
I
going to
think
be
it's a total huge win for ARM.
Yeah, it's going to be a long time though if it does actually play out that way. The problem is for Intel that they've got right now is what Dan says is true. A lot of people are starting to switch to ARM.
Yeah,
but like major enterprises, they kind of replace their servers every like 10 years. So they're very slow rolling when they decide to do that. So if they're going to replace the whole server, even to get another just set of Intel processors, they may look at what their options are for software solutions and say, you know what, we have a lot better support on.
Or you may wait for what happened to the servers in France and wait for them just to catch on fire.
Yeah, well, there's an option too, you know. That's what happens when you use too much thermal grease, okay?
The only thing I hate about it, ARM chips are going to be so well positioned in the market that it's going to be really difficult to get a client to see the value in me servicing a machine for a year, much less 2 years or 3 years over time. Of course, with my model, they can switch out, and, you know, I have to adapt and adjust to changing times and, you know, sell more cloud services too. But it's going to be, I see the cost of computers really decreasing in price a lot, even more than before. So I see a lot of like machines like what one of my clients has that's like under $200 being sold, and I see those getting a lot more powerful with the ARM chip and being more power efficient. So I think that future, unfortunately, is going to lead us into a place where there will be no upgradable parts in as far as a laptop or anything, which we're kind of there anyway as it is, but it's going to be more and more tablet type laptops to where it's less of a full-blown computer and more of like a tablet. And I think there's some good to that, but I think it's a really bad way to go because people that need, I think your professionals are going to start using like workstations again, because I don't see how everything can be done on a device like that. There's just some things that you need a full-blown screen for, and like speakers and stuff. Like there's certain things I would not do on a mobile phone.
Sure,
There's
sure.
certain things I would not want.
Well, Apple's already kind of part of the way there anyways. They got their
Yeah.
big, huge screen and the computer's built in behind the screen.
Yeah. And I think that's a great way to go.
Not to harp on that point too much. I think Art of Music has a really good point in the chat. They say that their only problem with an ARM is that Linux will be harder to install on Windows 10 computers with ARM going forward. I don't know what point they're making specifically, but my mind immediately went to like, you know, how hardware is becoming more and more locked down. You look at things like secure boot and stuff like that. Maybe say again.
It is a secure boot because when secure boot came, Microsoft made a promise that they would they made a pledge that they would not enforce manufacturers to lock down the secure boot on x86 or hardware. They were actually saying that any vendor who locked down the so that the user could not disable the secure boot, they would be Microsoft no longer do business with them. The exception was ARM, where they demand that the secure boot cannot be changed by the user.
Art of Music just said that too in the bio/UFI can't be.
I'm back. I was working with the Kodi BitChute. So if you are using BitChute, Winsome Hacks GitHub page, he has a Kodi 19 specific branch. That one does appear to install, and I can see my subscription feeds in there. I'll look at it later to verify it actually works, but so that is working. So as far as I can tell, everything I typically use is so far working. Let me boot up my email applications and see. So
I think a lot of IT jobs, tech, are starting to dissipate, but I also think there's going to be new opportunities that arise.
Yeah, the market's changing.
Those jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it's like dissipating, but I think it's definitely changing. I know where my organization, like, we just have a whole contract team for like the servers, and if something goes wrong with the servers, we don't bother repairing them. We just replace the whole rack. It's like, you know, it's like, call the contractors. They'll replace the thing, and we ain't got time for it. You know, just
with MS, a lot of what I do is, I mean, at times it can be harder when you actually have a problem that you got to look into and do some critical thinking. But I've done I've done a lot of the same things over and over and over 1,000 times over. And it gets to where you just build up a muscle memory and have a process in place to fix problems.
Right now, I'm getting a lot of information that there's a severe chip shortage. And I live in a state where we build cars, and the factories are rotating their shifts because they don't have no chips to put in the computers and in the cars to make them work.
You know what? Here's a good time to go back to old cars without all these excess computers.
Yeah.
Quantum Alpha gave us over on Discord an amazing 3 steps to protect yourself against the coronavirus. Okay, guys? Step number 1, get a copy of Arch Linux because it is cheaper than hand sanitizer. Step 2, try to install it. This should keep you busy at home for weeks. And then step number 3, try to talk to others about it. They will avoid you at all costs. So there we have it, guys. Arch Linux is good for coronavirus.
You can up that game if you want to switch to Gen 2.
Oof. The gauntlet is laid down.
And we had another one. This is from Joaquin Phoenix. Did you know, in order to play the role of an insane and mentally depressed person in the movie The Joker, Joaquin Phoenix had to install NVIDIA drivers on Linux.
If you get them directly from NVIDIA, they are a pain to put in.
I have had more success with NVIDIA drivers on Linux than I have with AMD. So I know that's weird, but it is.
How?
I mean,
explain that.
Probably has to do with working less with AMD.
Don't explain it.
Explain it to me like I'm a 4-year-old.
Don't. You can do that at Tom.
I just did explain it to you. If you want to put the ones in
simple,
regarding
NVIDIA's
the
website,
regarding the
less
chip,
AMD hardware.
regarding the chips shortage, Mitchell says he's eating fish and chips right now, and there is no shortage.
Well done. Well done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Art of Music, the GPU shortage is not because, well, maybe reasonably priced GPUs is because of scalpers, but we're talking about just silicon in general right now. There's a lot of reasons why that's
don't
in
worry,
short supply.
our current presidential administration is working on the problem, so expect it to be solved in a very short order.
Oh, boy.
I will feel much better as soon as they get the
sleeping
TSMC factory built in Arizona. Then I will be less concerned about the chip shortage.
There you go. Or
hey, this actually might be great for Intel because Intel is their fabbing here in the U.S. So.
For you guys in Texas, Elon Musk is looking to plug a giant battery into the Texas grid. So if you've ever done work with battery technologies, you'll know that'll last, half an hour of extra power.
Elon Musk's going to have to start dealing with his recall on all his old Teslas that have failing memory chips.
Yeah, I had to. As much as I hate to admit it, I actually bought something from an Elon Musk company the other day. It was like, oh, really?
I remember it was, I think it's almost 20 years ago when the one of these series of blackouts on the East Coast, I think, in the New York area, where several states lost power for 2 days or what it was. A story came the next week about a certain town in that area, and a big city with millions of people. They had already a huge storage building jam-packed with batteries that served the entire town for 7 minutes.
I got to jump in before this rolls away. Rosilla Review says, all the silicon is now used in boobs. No, that's silicone. Silicone, not silicon.
Yeah, we like those.
Yeah, that's the stuff you get in the auto parts store to make gaskets with.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I'm explaining it to you like I'm 4 years old. I'm a fan, or like you're 4.
Oh boy, we are devolving here pretty quick, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah, a little bit. Big battery. It's the same concept when someone goes fishing and claims to catch a big fish and turns out to be a 4-incher. That's right. Now, Elon Musk actually has some interesting and compelling battery technology. Believe it or not, I have to say that some of his battery technology stuff is pretty good. Although a lot of it is way overpriced. I'm pretty sure he is funding SpaceX and Tesla's failures on the sales of batteries. I was actually looking at some of his solar panels, and I went with another company because, Lord, they were expensive compared to every other company in the market, And I don't really have any evidence they were any better.
He's giving away all the patents for the technology because he wants it to be adapted and built upon. So he's not.
I think over the ages here, in a few years, the lithium-ion batteries that they're using in the cars are going to start leaning more to hydrogen fuel cells.
Yeah, that would be fine. It'll drop the price of lithium-ion.
Now, they already are using them in electric forklifts.
Mm-hmm.
Elon's a once-in-a-generation type of guy.
If I'm not mistaken, the buses here in Center County have been
once in a life.
Hydrogen fuel cell, if I'm not mistaken, or either that or their natural gas. I forget which, but
natural gas. Out of all the fuels, natural gas yields the least horsepower.
Yeah. I read an article about a month ago about development by scientists in Israel. They are working on a battery technology that, if it works, it will the battery would last way beyond the lifetime of any device that they put into it. So the main goal is that you could have electric cars, and the battery would on one charge would last for the lifetime of the car.
Well, one charge or a replaceable charge.
One charge.
I'm not seeing that
Yeah, they discovered the dilithium crystals.
Yeah, so Yeah, I don't see the way to store that much energy inside of a single compound.
Yeah, but it's interesting that they are actually trying to see what would work. So it would be interesting to see what comes out of it in 20 years time.
Yeah. Yeah, like looking at the battery technologies and how they've evolved, there's a few different off-grid battery systems right now. There's of course your basic lead acid, which require a lot of management. Your AGMs are basically sealed lead acids. You don't need to manage, but they don't last very long. Then you get to your gels, and then you get up into your lithiums, which last a number of years, but they're
the gel cells
expensive.
Don't have a very long life either.
Yeah, the gel cells last about twice as long as your typical lead acid AGM.
I beg to differ. When they're used in a pallet jack, they don't hold up. Because we offered
supposed
them
to be twice as long.
We offered them with golf cart batteries in it, 4-6 volts, and then they offered them with the 4-6 volt gel cells in them, so supermarkets wouldn't have to deal with watering the batteries. And it could be a manufacturing problem with the gel cells or something, but them things, they only last like a year and they were done.
Oh, really? Yeah. Also, though, it would depend on if they're appropriately using them, because if you discharge either a lead acid, an AGM, or a gel battery beyond 50% routinely, it's going to kill the battery really fast. Like that's where, if you're going to extra discharge batteries like that, you want to use lithium, where you can discharge them down to 20%.
Yeah, you can't discharge those batteries down to the basement. I mean, when you go below their rated voltage, you're on borrowed juice.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges. Let's see. Unicorn tears is the future of limitless energy. There you go. Unicorn tears. Hey Alexa, order unicorn meat. Confirm. Let's see. With Ford, lifetime of the car would be a quarter charge.
Yeah.
Touche. Elon Musk does not like the hydrogen technology, somebody claims. Okay. Ford lifetime warranty is 1 year.
The reason Elon Musk don't like it is it's because it's a competitor.
May very well be.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And he probably owns a couple of lithium mines in Africa.
Oh, probably with slave labor.
He is.
He needs to be issuing modern day reparations.
Reparations.
Yeah, to all the slaves that are mining his lithium in Africa.
You know what? They got to do something with their lives.
Whoa, Mark. Me.
Back on topic.
I don't feel much.
I don't believe in improper.
Peter's trying to get us back on topic here.
But I do believe in that over the alternative.
So, hold up. Peter's trying to get us back on track here. Two frustrations: 20% of games which you can't run properly on Linux, and a lack of media decoding on Linux for AMD. Is there a big problem with media decoding on AMD?
Not that I know of.
Yeah,
not that I'm aware of.
20% of games you can't properly run on Linux. Sure, I'm with you on that.
Most of them that I find can't run on Linux is because they got anti-cheats.
Yeah, and like I don't even know how I would do half the media stuff on Windows. Like it all works fine on me. If it didn't work, I wouldn't use it, but it works well.
I mean, I even got to the point where I started using Lutris and buying the games from GOG, and then I actually own them DRM free.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Amazon Echo Dot or Google Mini? Which one to go with?
Neither. My hands.
Which one's cheaper to use as baseballs? I mean,
I don't have either one of them, so I don't really care.
Those things are just an NSA spy gig.
Oh, it's unbelievably, yeah. George Orwell spinning his grave. Great
never
potential
let the
source
FBI
of free
listen to my
energy.
calls.
It's a way to advertise you and separate you from your cash.
The old joke is, I'll never let the FBI spy on my calls, and it says, "Hey, FBI agent, find me a recipe online."
That's hey. If I got a smart speaker, I would have to have one that I can customize the wake word and be like, "Hey, FBI agent."
I would have to name mine wiretap. I think that would be.
There you go.
Mine would
There
be
you go.
wiretap.
Let's see. For me, Linux frustrations is exams. Need to install Windows just for doing exams. No, just go to your dean's office and say, I need to take a photo of the front and the back of your driver's license, please, and show me everything on your desk. Unless we're like, excuse me, you don't have any business. Say, yeah, neither do these stupid tutors you keep on telling me that I have to use. Find me another alternative. Don't be going to a school where they're forcing you to install special software to take exams. Screw them. Drop out. Go listen to Boy in a Band's "Don't Stay in School." Come on. There you go.
Yeah.
Who's this lunatic? Does he even have an education? Yeah. All right.
You don't need
we're coming up right on
education.
8. We have definitely devolved into weirdness. So we'll go ahead and get jumping off here. I will be streaming on my other channel tonight. I will drop the link for that video. But Solbu, give us your final words.
Yeah, despite some things are still a little more difficult on Linux than in Windows or Mac, it is getting better. So I'm sticking with Linux still.
Okay. Dan, give us your final words.
I'm quite happy with Linux. Anything I've tried to overcome or deal with, I've been able to find something on the internet where someone else has had the same problem and someone else has come up with a fix. Mm-hmm. So it hasn't been overcoming to me. There's no way, I'm going to run back to Windows. Mm-hmm. So this works great for me. Does everything I want to do, plays all of my favorite games just fine. If the game on Proton DB says it's broken or it's junk, then I don't even want to bother with it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Usually it's some no-name thing.
Yeah. Tech, final words.
Yeah, I'm more or less with Dan. I mean, I pretty much can do anything you want to do or overcome any problem you have on Linux. I think the only thing I've ever run into is trying to do a data recovery on a drive that I accidentally deleted the data on. But that's the only thing I think I've ever not been able to overcome on Linux.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I think Linux is great. There's a lot of smart people out there in the communities who will help you, even if they tell you to RTFM first.
Yeah. And then come back like, I tried. I couldn't read it. I couldn't understand it. It was crazy. All right, Mark, give us your final words.
It's really...
Well, there's a reason why I put certain clients of mine on Linux where it makes sense. Windows is a mess. It's constantly, ever since they fired their quality I can't even talk straight. Quality assurance testing team. Barnacles was one of those that was let go actually years ago. The quality of services went downhill, and every week it seems like a new Windows update will come out, and it not just be a small issue, but it be a problem that's so widespread that it catches articles in the news and stuff, and it's just getting to where I feel more comfortable and stable on Linux than I ever did Windows. Linux is just an excellent operating system. It's, in my opinion, it's actually easier to use than Windows, and I know that's not something a lot of people will say. I actually find it easier. I actually find it more user-friendly for the new user than Windows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
Depending on the distro.
All right. So we are going to jump off for here. I dropped the link in the comments to the next stream at 9 o'clock. That's on my Christian channel. If you guys are interested in that, come on over to that. And we will see you then tomorrow. Weekly News Roundup.
Have a good night. Doing the soul do.